While the Russian soldiers and the artillery took shelter in Yagodnaye around the school premises, we should understand that the entire compound has multiple bunkers like this that have been set up by the Russian soldiers, where they took cover from any sort of firing that came in. They also excavated areas like this inside the school fence, and you can see this is probably a place where they had one of their armored vehicles, or their artillery, which was placed inside, which could fire towards Chernihiv or any sort of incoming attack. Apart from that, the entire property, you can see the remains of what the soldiers have left behind, from food packets to weapons to much more. And these green boxes that we've been showing you in multiple places, of course, even give you an idea of the kind of ammunition that they brought in. Multiple such boxes that are present here, which have had ammunition which they used for their guns and their other artillery. And we should also understand that while this particular building has taken so much damage, around the fence of this particular property, all around in a 360-degree manner, they have created trenches, they have created bunkers where the Russian soldiers could always be safe and protected. And more importantly, having so many residents, so many locals here situated in one room, ensured that the Ukrainians had to always think before carrying out an all-out attack on this particular property. We're now going to walk you through the shelter of horror inside this school in Yagodnaye. Now, this was the small shelter in which hundreds of people had to stay. You can still see, the remnants of the people here with the chairs that are lying behind, the Russian food boxes that are here. There are some little bit of bedding, little bit of food that is remaining. But let me in fact show you some of how the people felt and what they were going through. Firstly, let me tell you, in each of these rooms, this was marked by the Russian soldiers to keep a count of how many people there were inside. This were 5 kids and 27 people, if I'm not mistaken. This was what was told to me as by some of the locals here. You can see the kids who are here have done a little bit of painting to keep themselves occupied. Some of them, mind you, were here for about 30 days. So as we walk into these small, alley, this small alley of sorts, which has a couple of rooms close by, you can see more of, the remnants. You can see bedding here, and in this particular room, there were 136 people and few infants, and that too has been marked here on the wall. 136 people in this particular room, and they say that hardly there was any sort of space apart from all the furniture that lies here. There was no space for people to walk around. There were people who were sleeping in lines. Now this is another horrifying room that gives you the details, more murky details, more horrifying details of what all was taking place while they were here. Now, while of course you have these paintings that the kids did while they were here, you can see these are the names of the people who were shot dead or killed by the Russian soldiers. That finds a mention here. You can also see that most of them who are here, they've mentioned the month. They've said from March 4th they have been here, and all the dates that they have recounted, each day at a time, marked while they were sitting inside these shelters. And these are the people who lost their lives while being here, not able to get enough food, not able to get enough medication. And overall, you can just imagine in such a small area, hundreds of people being forced to live here as there was consistent firing that was taking place outside, the fear for their lives, the fear for their loved ones, and all of this combined, having to go through the horrifying experience of staying here, left many people dead. And of course, the people who survived, even till today, are completely traumatized. We're about 150 kilometers from the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv, at a village named Yagodnaye. This is very close to Chernihiv, and this particular property that I'm standing on is of a school that is situated in this particular village. And this became a refuge center, a place where the Russian soldiers took base. Over 300 armored vehicles were stationed in this particular village, and many of them around this school property in itself. And you can see the kind of devastation that they have left behind. Most of the residential houses here completely destroyed. You can see an armored vehicle which broke down, which has been left behind by the Russian soldiers, and all around these houses there were at least about 50 to 60 residents who were living. But unfortunately for them, it was a nightmare for about 30 days. While they were here, they were forced to sit inside the shelter of this particular school we are standing at. You can see the school, of course, has taken extensive damage. And for the residents here, it was nothing short of a nightmare. I have one of them who lives right opposite this school property. Let me speak to him. If Mikola, of course, is going to help us translate. If you could tell us how many days totally were you all made to stay here? How many people stayed, and was there enough space for all of you inside?
Скільки людей було, скільки сиділо в школі, скільки днів вони там сиділи і наскільки було місця для них?
Більше місяця в кімнаті в одній 160 чоловік сиділо, в одній 40. Маленька кімната 40 чоловік, трошки більша кімната 160 чоловік. І більше місяця.
Okay, what does he?
He said that they stay in its school by months. They lived by months, and in one room there were 40 people, and another room 160 people.
Okay. And if you could also ask him, did the Russian soldiers here harm anybody, kill anybody, and also, while they stayed in the shelters, the Russian soldiers, I believe, were staying in their houses. Did they loot anything from those houses?
Скільки людей було розстріляно у селі і де саме перебували російські найманці?
Російські найманці тут по селу перебували, а розстріляний один тут чоловік, три я знаю.
Скільки людей?
Три я знаю, один на міні подорвався.
Okay. What does he say?
He says three people. One people died dead in a mine.
Okay.
And Russian soldiers lived in houses and apartments of the citizens.
And they looted the house as well?
Yeah.
Well, that's the tale of this place, and in fact it's a school of horror for many of these residents, of course, who've seen their children play here, grow here, but during the month that the Russian soldiers held them captive inside this school, it was nothing but horror, as several people were killed. Other people, of course, were locked inside this shelter, had to really struggle for space to even sleep. While the Russian soldiers left from this particular place, they have looted everything, they say, from their houses, including their clothes, money, and any sort of valuables that they could find.